I'm the so please share it, the screen. I put video off. Very poor connection. So we're reading from 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Today is the last verse. Prakriti Purush and by which we should know, that is called Gyan. Through nicely explained that through Gyan, the sun illuminates entire universe. So does in body, but illuminate body, conscious. So 30th verse, concluding verse of this chapter. Kshetra goir evam antaram gyana chakshusha bhuta prakriti mokham cha je vidur janti te param. Kshetra body. Kshetra of the body. Yes. Antaram. By the vision of knowledge. Bhuta of the entity. From material nature. Jnana chakshusha, vision of knowledge. Bhuta of the living entity. Prakriti from material nature. Moksham, the liberation. Cha also. Je, those who. Vidu, know. Janti, approach. They, param, the supreme. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to this. Chapter. It is the 11th class of this chapter, only 35 verse, and to this 11th class. So much philosophical, looks so much dry, but knowledge is like that. Knowledge is not like a story. Philosophy is not like a story. Different sections. When you go Krishna book, Bhagavatam, when there is discussion of this Lord, very weak section. Discussion of Shruti, different Vedic verses glorified. In Brihad Bhagavatam, when the discussion between Shrutis in the higher planets, different Shruti was establishing different aspects of the Lord. A very big discussion. Sanatana Goswami wrote so vividly, very difficult to understand. Only I cannot understand everything. That's true, because when Shruti, Vedas, different scriptures, they're discussing about among themselves, how we can understand their discussion? Knowledge is like that. I'm translating the translation again. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between body and the knower of the body. That means one should see. It is not that, oh, can I show me soul in the body? No. one should see through the eyes of knowledge and can also understand the process of liberation from the bondage of material nature, attain to the Supreme. And again repeating, one should see through the eye of knowledge the difference between body and soul. One should understand through the eye of knowledge how the encased in the body. One should understand through the eye of knowledge how to liberate from this body. This is the end of this chapter, purport. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the knower of the body, and the supersoul. To make us understand, Krishna is giving different words. Prakriti Purush, Kshetra Kshetrako, Gyan Gyo. Same thing, different way. Like Prakriti, who is Prakriti? Nature. Purush, Purush, soul is Purush, also supersolar Purush. Again, Prakriti Purush. Then again, Kshetra Kshetrako. Kshetra is body, Kshetrako is soul and supersoul. So same thing in different terminology trying to explain. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in the verses 8 through 12. What is that? One should recognize the process of liberation. 8 through 12. These 5 bars. Process of liberation means knowledge. There are 20. This knowledge for what? For earning money, to become materially comfortable situating? No. Knowledge means how to liberate from this body. And that knowledge starts from humility, manittam. And end, where end? Who knows? Where the knowledge will end? Odhyatmagan nityattam tattvaganartha darshana. Knowledge tattvaganartha darshana. Who is soul? Who is Brahma? Who is Paramatma? Who is Bhagavan? Understanding, work accordingly. That is the end of knowledge. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. The faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. One question may come, we're reading for a long time the Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand what is the difference between both. Theoretically, we have heard, we are giving so much lectures, so many lectures we have given. Still, why we cannot understand? Here is the secret. What is secret? If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between the matter and spirit. Actually, a spiritual master only business to give this knowledge, difference between matter and spirit. Can you remember another verse? Chapter 4, 34 verse. Tad vidhi pranipatana, paripasana sevaya. What is the next verse? If we want to get this knowledge, one should approach Tattavata Guru. Tad pranipatana. The 35th verse, Guru will give what type of knowledge he will give? Yes. Guru will give knowledge of matter, difference between matter and spirit. And that becomes the stepping stone of the further realization. The understanding the difference between matter and spirit is the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his student to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna is instructing Arjuna to free from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. That soul and super soul, both are Kshetragya, both are Purush. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. That is, soul is the 25th element. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the Supreme Soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of the chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Again, Prabhupada giving so much importance. I'm reading again last sentence. These things are meant for the contemplation and for realization. Why are you taking so much time to understand? It is not a matter of reading. It is a matter of understanding. Prabhupada given nice word. It is not for reading. It's contemplation and for realization. First contemplate, then realize. And one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. This subject matter one can understand through one's scholarship. For that, spiritual mercy is important. Without mercy, by own endeavor, it will pass. You can remember the verse, chapter 2 and 8. Second chapter 8 verse. Krishna, without your mercy, I can become the emperor of the three worlds. My kingdom will be free from any type of reside in my kingdom. Still, my problem will not solve. My problem is I'm thinking I'm this body, and due to that, birth, death, old age, and disease. Only by spiritual master's mercy, when I understand I am not this body, then accept this instruction seriously. That is the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, especially this 13th chapter. Thus end the Bhakti and the purports to the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in a matter of nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. I told in the beginning, this in Sanskrit, this chapter sometimes named Khetra Khetra Prakriti Purush. Now, next chapter is 14th chapter, the three modes of material nature. What is material nature? Why material nature can come? Because if you want to know, I am soul, there is super soul, then what is the material nature then? What is the difference? Without knowing the material nature, we cannot understand what is soul and super soul. Without experience of darkness, we cannot appreciate the light. So without knowing material nature, we cannot understand soul and super soul. There is a 14th chapter, the of material nature. Sri Bhagavan Uvach, Param Bhuya Purvakshami Gyananam Gyanavattam. Jat Gatta Mune Sarve Parang Siddhimita Gataha. Sri Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Param, transcendental, Bhuya, again, Purvakshami, Bhakshami, Purvakshami. I shall speak. Gyananam Gyanamuttamam. Gyanana, out of all knowledge. Gyanamuttamam, the supreme knowledge. Gyananam Gyanamuttamam means the knowledge, the supreme knowledge among all knowledge. Jat Gatta, by knowing which, Mune Sarve, all the sages, Param Siddhi Mitavata, Param Siddhi, transcendental perfection, supreme perfection, Itaha, from this world, Gataha, attained. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Purport. From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, what is this 6th chapter? The Bhakti Shatak. Sri Krishna in details reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord Himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, will come to an understanding of devotional service. I'm reading sentence again. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he'll come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains that those modes of nature are how they act, how they bind, how they give liberation. One should know all these things. How they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and transform to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to that other process of knowledge, thus far explained. And knowing this, many attained perfection. Thus, it is expected that one should understand this 14th chapter will attain perfection. In the chapter, what is the end of this verse? Jat gatta munaya sarve, jat gatta, by knowing this, munaya sarve, all the munis, param siddhimita gata. This chapter is so important, knowing which all these sages have attained the supreme perfection. So if we also want to get supreme perfection, we should learn this chapter nicely. Now, again, second verse is the glorification of this chapter. What is that? Idam jnanam upasrita mama sadharma agata. Sargabhinu pujanti pralayana vatanti cha. Idam jnanam upasrita. Upasrita means taking shelter of. Upasrita means taking completely shelter. Idam jnanam, this knowledge. This knowledge means knowledge of the chapter. Upasrita, taking shelter of the knowledge of the chapter. Mama sadharmam agata. Mama sadharmam. Mama, my sadharmam, same nature, agata, having attained. My nature attain means come to me spiritual world. And Sargabhinu upajanti. Sarga means creation, system. Sarga, even in the creation. No upajanti, they never born. Sargabhinu upajanti. When the universe again create, they will not come. Because they are already spiritual. And pralayana vatanti. Pralay, in the annihilation, no, Bhatvanti are disturbed also by becoming fixed in this knowledge. One can attain to this transcendental nature like my own. Thus, established one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Because after he'll remain after dissolution. So why he should be disturbed? After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. We are qualitatively equal, quantitatively different. So by getting that knowledge, we will understand we are Satchitananda, Krishna is Satchitananda. Then we will become free from a repetition of birth, death, old age, disease. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. This type of Siddhi perfection is called Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi means remaining in the same body, he understands his real identity. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless, without any variegatedness. Who tells like that? Maharaja. And they're actually mad. They think a spiritual world is void, no form. Everything is created in this world from a spiritual world, and there is so much form here, and a spiritual world no form. How one can understand that? However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material world. But actually, in the spiritual arca, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated. And there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Now, first and second verse explains the glories of the chapter. Glories of the chapter means what is the importance of knowing this material? By knowing that, we understand we are not this matter, very spiritual. If we understand in such a way, we will not be destroyed when the world is destroyed. And when world is again create, we will not be also. We also not. Now, from next verse, Krishna will explain what is that nature. Nature is very big. It is not a small. Big is called Brahma. Third verse will read from tomorrow. Mama Juni Mahat Brahma. This is also. This is nature also Brahma. Though normally Brahma means transcendental. But here, another meaning of Brahma means very big. The nature also very big. So Krishna is saying this material nature also Brahma. I impregnate this material nature. And due to that, the event creates. So one should understand in such way the difference between the nature, soul, and super soul. One should study, contemplate, understand under the guidance of the spiritual master. What does it mean? Always sit under spiritual master? No. Fully depend on their mercy. Srila Prabhupada's case. Sitting and in the foot of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is completely dependent on the mercy of his spiritual master. And due to that, Dibbhagan Hridaya Prakashita. This knowledge has manifested in his heart, and due to his realization, he is able to explain, and due to his explanation, the whole world has people are accepting the philosophy. That means Prabhupada has understood. And Prabhupada understood from whom? From his spiritual master. How? By completely surrender and to his spirit. Completely dependent on his mercy. Hare Krishna. So we will read tomorrow from third verse. Thank you very much. So tomorrow, 10th, 11th, 2-3 days of class. Then 1 week their vacation. I'll be busy in the gym.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Dandavat Pranam, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.